I'll be honest, I got video ideas and lists of things that I need to make videos on or want to make videos on that are good topics and good videos for sponsors. And I have some deals worked out that I need to get videos done for. And I turn on this camera and I feel like that's not what I really want to talk about. Although the things that I'm making videos on are things that I'm doing, they're not necessarily things that are on my mind. And when I turn on the camera and make videos, I like to talk about what's on my mind and kind of just share what I'm feeling. And I've been feeling a lot lately, like way more than I usually feel because I've been sober again. I'm just a little over 30 days sober. I gave up weed, alcohol, and coffee. Yeah, threw coffee in there because funny enough, when I quit smoking weed and drinking alcohol, I started drinking a lot of coffee, like 8 cups a day type a lot. I think I was actually trying to get high off of coffee. Funny enough, if you drink enough coffee, it really gets your heart rate going. You start grinding your teeth and it feels a little bit like you might be coming down from some blow or something. Last time I talked about addiction, YouTube, they killed the video basically. It was getting a lot of views and it was reaching a lot of people, and I was just kind of sharing my journey of drug use and alcoholism, and I don't think they liked it very much and they killed it. The minute that it got demonetized, it stopped getting views, which I never made that video to make money. I just make every video monetized because if I don't do it, YouTube is going to put ads on it and I won't get paid for it. And like I said, I wasn't really doing it to get paid, but it's just funny how the algorithm works. And if something gets demonetized, I've seen it a few times where I cuss too much or I talk about the wrong things and it just falls off a cliff and disappears. But whatever, I don't care. That's not why I'm making this video. I wanted to make this video because I've been going through the motions. Again, one more time, I'm trying to give up substances and I'm trying to clear my head and get control back of my mind. And it sucks because I've been an addict my whole life. Honestly, I really have. Like from my early teenage years up until now, I'm still struggling. I've done almost every drug you can think of. Luckily, I've stayed away from some drugs, and unfortunately, I got heavy into other drugs. But when I was younger, I was doing more of the heavy stuff. And as I got older, I did the old man drugs, drinking and smoking weed. Although weed was always part of my life, being in a legal state makes it a little bit more accessible. There's not as much of a stigma around it. So it's easy to go to a store and just buy some weed and, get some beer, go home and drown away all your problems. Thing is, like the minute I came back from Europe, the first stop at the first legal state that we were in, I went straight to the dispensary from the airport, like with my wife and kids in the car. That's how much of a piece of shit I am. And the whole time we were in Europe, I was drinking a lot. I've been going through a lot of the pictures because I'm trying to make some content around that stuff and just organizing all the footage that I got while I was on that trip. And I'm just surprised how many pictures of me there are with either a beer or a glass of wine or scotch when I was in Scotland or liqueur when I was in Portugal or whatever, any alcohol I could get, I was drinking it because that's just what I do. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict, and it's hard to talk about. It's hard to say it. Seriously considering going to meetings for the first time. We'll see how it goes. Every time I come off of the booze and the weed, I just get grumpy and irritated. And I've been working really hard to avoid that this time. I'm doing the ice baths, which helps with some of that stuff. And I'm working out to get some of that aggression out. And I'm trying to get my sleep schedule right. And I'm not trying to distract myself with other things because I know that many times in the past when I've tried to give up substances, I end up going right back into video gaming or heavy into social media or deep into a distraction. Last time I did it, it was YouTube. I went really deep off into YouTube for the 4 months that I was clean. Funny enough, that's when some of my biggest videos happened. Maybe where you focus your energy is where things tend to happen, right? That's just the nature of things. And I get hooked on things and I hyper focus on stuff. And I've done ADHD assessments and autism assessments because everybody keeps leaving comments saying that I might have ADHD or I might be autistic. And it's funny, those tests came back and said there's a good chance, but what's the point? if I go and get medically diagnosed, what they're going to do is give me drugs to to calm me down. I don't know. This is just me rambling about this shit because I want to talk about this. And since I'm not going to meetings because I don't really like talking to strangers, I talk to the strangers on this camera, which is also difficult because, ironically enough, I recently had a video that took off, and so many people I know from the jiu-jitsu community in real life have seen this video. So they are aware of my channel, and my in-laws know about my YouTube channel. I think they're subscribed. A lot of my wife's friends are subscribed to my channel. So it prevents me from making videos like this, and it makes this more real. The parasocial relationship that I have with my audience is different, right? Because even though you guys know me, I don't really know you, and it makes it easier for me to talk to the camera because it doesn't feel as real as talking to people I know or like another human being in front of me. Hard to explain, hard to articulate, I guess. I talked about being introverted, and I think that being an introvert is just something that has come with my old age and my personality type. Since I don't like talking to strangers, I honestly don't like talking to people, and I don't really like having relationships. They're too much work for me. So then I get in this position where I get in my own head, deep in my own thoughts, and drown out my sorrows and try to hide those thoughts and intrusive memories and things that I've been bottling up for so long. With booze, I self-medicate, and with weed, and with anything, with distractions. And I've been going back to therapy, and I've been thinking about going to meetings, like I said, and my wife and I are talking about marriage counseling, which you don't see that on the other side of the camera. You see big smiles and good lighting and a fancy camera and edited videos with B-roll and stuff that hides a lot of that stuff, right? Anybody can act however they want to act in front of the camera, and people aren't really who they are on social media. Some people are. Some people can be real, but I've noticed that a lot of people are fake, myself included. I'm calling myself out there as well because I am fake. I make videos to get views. I don't necessarily talk about things that I always want to talk about. I talk about things that I feel are going to get more clicks, and I talk about things that I feel are going to bring in new audience members. I feel like I talk about things that the algorithm wants to hear, and I don't really talk about things that I want to talk about. And then when I do make videos and try to talk about things that I've dealt with, like, it feels right. It feels good. It feels like what I should be doing. Like, in some weird way, it feels like that's my calling, to help people by just sharing my story. Like, I never wanted to try to tell people what to do. I never thought of giving advice. I've tried to make videos where I give advice, but it doesn't feel genuine because I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm going to be 39 this year, and I'm a stoner and a drunk. Maybe not a drunk. If I'm smoking a lot, then I don't drink as much. If I quit smoking, I tend to drink more, and I'm just an addict. That's just what it is, right? Very functional addict is what I am. So who am I to give anyone advice? Like really, I wouldn't take my own advice. So why should I give my advice to other people? I've got life experience, and I lived through different things, and I know that I have things that I can share. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just trying to figure stuff out. When I turn on this camera and I've got, bulleted list of all this crap that I'm doing and advice that I'm trying to give, it just feels fake. It feels scripted. It feels like I'm just going to be every other YouTuber. It's a big reason why I kind of stopped uploading. Also, like, I got a job because I burned through a lot of the YouTube money on that Euro trip, which was worth it. The family had a good time. Unfortunately, I was distracted a lot, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I should. And I was drinking a lot during that trip, and it makes me feel like a shitty father. It makes me feel like a bad husband, and I'm tired of it. And, I think every addict always says, like, this time it's different, but I swear it really feels different this time. Like, the few times I've tried to quit before have always been for the wrong reasons, or maybe not for the right reasons. I shouldn't say for the wrong reasons, but maybe not for all the right reasons. Some of the reasons were there, but maybe my heart wasn't in the right place for it, or maybe I wasn't ready. But I feel ready this time. I had a really tough night last night. The habits and routines kind of go together. And yesterday, on Friday, I go to open mat. My jiu-jitsu gym does open mat every other Friday, and I really enjoy going to open mat because, you just kind of go, you roll, you chit-chat with a few people, you get a good sweat in, you get a good workout in, and then you just go home, right? And I have a routine on Friday nights, usually after open mats. I would go, I'd hit the dispensary, pick up like a pre-roll and maybe some tinctures or something to really, really have a good weekend with and really have a good Friday night with. And then after the dispensary, I'd drive home and either stop at the gas station or stop at a liquor store or something and get myself something nice to drink as well. And last night when I left jiu-jitsu, I felt like I was almost on autopilot. I felt like I immediately, like that little trigger, that switch in my head, that neurological pathway that's just been driven over so many times was leading me to wanting to go to the store and wanting to go to the dispensary and wanting to do those things I do every night after open mat on Fridays. And I didn't do it. And I was so damn proud of myself because I felt like, man, I've been at it for a month. I've been struggling. It hasn't been easy. It's starting to feel better. I'm finally starting to feel like I'm getting a grip on things. And I was like this close to slipping up. And I didn't do it. I instead came home, took a shower, cooked myself a nice fat juicy ribeye, and I ate dinner, worked on organizing some of the B-roll I had, and I, sent some messages to my editor that's working on a video for me and decided that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm not going to do what everyone thinks I'm going to do and just get high, man. That's a terrible impression of Jerry Maguire, but it was a small little win, but it felt like a really, really huge victory for me because I got over that milestone. And I heard Andrew Huberman, which is obviously someone I've been listening to a lot, and I've listened to his podcast on addiction. I've listened to his podcast on weed and alcohol, and he said something that he was quoting a colleague of his or a friend of his that kind of said, like, addiction is like driving on the freeway and there's that trench that's always there on the side. And if you just steer off a tiny bit, you'll be right back in that trench. 100-mile highway, 1,000-mile highway, whatever. I'm paraphrasing this, so I'm probably butchering it, but it's always there. And if you just mess up a little bit, you'll drive right into it. And I kind of think about that. And it makes sense because I've always thought I was smarter than I was, or, too smart for my own good. I realized that even though I feel like I have a lot of willpower, I feel like I've been able to conquer a lot of my demons, I feel like I've been able to accomplish a lot through grit and determination and hard work and perseverance and all that jazz, I'm still not as smart as I think I am or as strong as I think I am. And I notice in these moments of weakness now that I've been struggling and going through trying to get clean again. Mind you, like the only other time I've ever given up substances for a long time was I made a video on it. It was like it was like the first birthday sober in 20 years. And literally it really was my first birthday sober in like 20 years. And that was like almost a year and a half or 2 years ago. And I went 4 months or the better part of 4 months, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, whatever. That was the longest I went, but I struggled that whole time. It was like every single day felt like any day would be the day that I would just go pick up some beer or go back to smoking. It doesn't feel as hard this time. Like it feels like I'm ready. And I don't want to be foolish because I know that trench is there the whole time. I know that I can fall right back into it. Having been a cigarette smoker for a really large portion of my life, I finally was able to quit smoking cigarettes when I was ready. I tried a bunch of times over and over. I tried everything, the gum, the patches, eventually I weaned myself off with vaping. Funny enough, luckily I didn't get hooked on vaping, but what I did, I started on a high dose of nicotine and then worked my way down to zero and then finally just put the vape away because I felt like I didn't need it anymore. But I tried that over and over and over again. Like it took years saying I'm going to quit smoking, going for a day or two, and then going right back to it. And I haven't tried as much with the booze and the weed because I've always thought that I've had it under control, but I realized that I don't. And even if I did, because I was highly functional, I didn't. I was convincing myself that I did. I convinced myself that it wasn't that bad. But the fact that I just don't know who I am with a clear head is really hard. It's hard for me. It makes me like sad about not having control of myself. And it also makes me feel like I don't know who I am without some kind of substance or without some kind of dependency to something that changes or alters my mind, my headspace. It gives me a head change. I want to know who I am. And I don't know. Maybe I don't like who I am. Maybe I don't like stuff that happened to me and that I worry about or think about constantly, and numbing myself or trying to forget about different things in my past and my childhood is just something I got so used to. And then, you hear about kids who start using weed and drugs at a very young age, how it changes their brain. And I start listening to that stuff and I worry. I'm like, man, how much of my brain have I damaged? How much have I changed? Me starting smoking when I was, I don't know, 13, and drinking when I was like 14 and 15. And at that young age, like, how much has that affected my mind? How much more could I have done had I been clear headed? Like, literally, I smoked weed forever. Like, I learned how to code smoking weed all the time and drinking. Plenty of nights that I drank and was learning how to code. YouTube videos, some of my old videos, like, I'm drunk in some of those videos. You might not be able to tell, but I remember getting that mood on the weekends to like make videos when I first started out, and I'd have a few beers, and then by the end of the video, I've had too many beers, and I can tell because I couldn't finish editing the video that evening. I would come back the next day and watch it. And I'm like I can hear it in my voice. Like, I could tell that I was buzzed. Again, I don't know if the strangers on the internet notice that kind of stuff, but that's just where I was at. And every time I get clear-headed, I start thinking about a lot of stuff. And I think it's just time for me to face all that stuff and realize that I don't need to keep myself distracted, and I don't need to keep myself numb in order to live. And I don't want to do that to my kids. Like, I grew up with an alcoholic parent, and I want to break that cycle. My mom drank every single night. Every night my mom was drunk, yelling at me, fighting with me, hitting me, telling me she's going to send me off, wishing she never had me, all that bullshit. Don't feel bad for me. It's all right. That's like the least of my problems from my childhood. I don't do that to my kids, but I definitely could be better. I definitely am not the dad I want to be because I'm drinking and smoking all the time, or I was. And I'm not the husband that I want to be because, again, same reasons. And then locking myself in my office and kind of just being a recluse, staying to myself, not being there mentally, physically, whatever. I don't know. I don't know why I wanted to make this video. I guess I'm making this video because I was doing good yesterday, or I did something really good yesterday, I should say, by not relapsing and not going back to the bottle and going back to the weed. I'm proud of myself, so I wanted to like pat myself on the back. I made a tweet about it too, saying the same thing. Maybe just talking this out is going to help me a little bit more. I know I've listened to other people talk about this stuff, and it's helped me hearing other people talk about it. And that's why I'm contemplating going to meetings, but doing this is a little easier. And then I just think, well, if someone else hears this, like I've heard other people talk about addiction, it helps them. It's helping me get it off my chest. It's a win-win, I guess. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I don't care how many YouTubers try to pretend they are. So many people just pretending they're something they're not on the internet these days. And I never want to be that guy, and never want to be that person. I felt like I was for a while there, but maybe it's because I didn't know who I was, and I'm trying to figure that out. I'm not trying to find myself anymore, too. I know that was something that I was doing. I wasn't doing it on purpose. I think it was just what I thought I needed to do. And now I'm figuring out that instead of finding myself, I needed to find who I am. And that's like a quote I'm paraphrasing as well. I love little quotes like that. I don't know where I heard it, probably a YouTube video or something, but it was like, stop trying to find yourself and start defining who you want to be. And I know who I want to be. I want to be a good dad. I want to be sober. And I want to be somebody who does help people and inspire people, but I want to do it being me. I'm a jackass. I'm a clown. I like to crack jokes. I don't like to be taken too seriously. I don't want to be the guy that's on here preaching and telling you what you need to do and how you need to get your life together and all the steps, because I don't know the steps. Man, I'm lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be where I'm at. I'm lucky that I was able to get out of the situation I was in growing up, and I'm lucky that I am in the situation I'm in now. I have a great family. I have a good paying job that I worked really hard to get by learning a skill that I never in a million years thought that I could do. I'm still not sure how I did it. I'm still not sure how I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to figure it out. If that means me rambling in front of a camera in order to try to figure it out for myself and maybe help someone else that's out there trying to figure it out for themselves. We can do it together. And I'm going to stop talking now, because the more I talk, the more I feel like I become a philosophical asshole who sounds pretentious and acts like he knows more than he does. Not an idiot, but I'm also not that smart of a dude. I'm just some asshole on the internet with a camera and a microphone that talks to people in hopes that they listen. All right. With all that said, if you're struggling out there, don't be scared to get help, because like I said, I'm going to therapy. I'm working on getting my shit together. I'm working on going to meetings and counseling with my wife, and I'm doing that stuff because I know it'll help me and my loved ones in the long run. If you're struggling and you need to figure some stuff out, just know that you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of ways to cope and deal with stuff that doesn't involve turning to your vices and giving into your addictions, because I'm learning that now. And ironically enough, my way is talking into a camera, but it's also talking to, professionals and my wife and anyone who's willing to listen, I guess, because getting it off your chest helps. Celebrate those small wins, because they might look really small to most people, but they're big, and bigger than you can realize sometimes. All right, that's enough of me wallowing in self-pity, and honestly, it kind of feels good talking about it. I feel a little bit better. I was really struggling trying to make these other videos because I've had a lot on my mind, and I just wanted to get that out there. I don't know where this is going. See you guys later. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.